Hello and welcome back once again to Movie Reviews. So, second and last movie of this evening. I still got one more I gotta catch up on, but I'll probably wait till my next day off when all the new movies are out and catch it then. I think there's a couple at the other theater near my house that are playing that I'm gonna go see maybe tomorrow morning. Not sure yet. So, today, second movie, we saw The Best of Me. Again, I saw it and, going into it, I was like, it looks kind of like a chick flick, but something about it struck my interest from the preview. Maybe it's that whole good girl goes for the guy from the wrong side of the tracks, but he turns out to be an okay guy type of thing. Something about it caught my interest. So that's pretty much what the movie was. It hit a lot of the normal points, like, the dad offering the guy money to stay away from his daughter, because he comes from the wrong side of the tracks and stuff. But overall, it was, I guess, a story about destiny and whether or not it truly exists, what we're all here for. You're on a path to something, but what is it? And your destiny coming full circle, I guess. So we start out on the oil platform, which is where, God, I've already forgotten his name. The male lead, where he works. And there's an explosion, and he gets thrown off of the platform, falls 100 feet into the water. He's unconscious under the water. Then he's in the water for over 4 hours, and they're surprised that he's alive at all. The fall should have killed him. Being in the water that long, he should have succumbed to hypothermia. Being underwater for as long as he was, unconscious, he should have drowned. But somehow he managed to survive this. So, it's basically kind of a miracle type of thing. And then, as he returns home, he gets a call from an attorney saying that someone he knows had passed away. So he goes back home, and it keeps cutting between him. After the oil platform incident, it cuts over to the girl lead, and, it's showing her home life where she's married, but her husband's just kind of not there in the relationship anymore, He's there, but he fills his time with other things other than being married to her. She has a son, and he's kind of trying to push the son into one direction that he's not really interested in doing, where the mother's like, just kind of let him be himself. So she also gets a call that this guy died. So they end up meeting up when they both go for the will reading. And then it kind of starts going back into the flashbacks of when they were young and how they met and everything. You find out that, much like most kids from the wrong side of the track, he has some daddy issues. Mainly I guess his dad was like a drug dealer or a moonshiner or something. They weren't really clear on what it was that he did, but he trafficked something. So yeah, his dad tries to pull him out of school. He fights to go back to school. His dad's like, okay, you're not doing anything this weekend. I need you to make a run for me. He goes, no, I got plans, which was, he had a date with the girl. So him and his dad get into a fight, and he basically runs away from home. And it starts raining, and he's trying to look for a place to camp out, and he hides in this guy's garage and sleeps there for the night. The guy finds him the next morning, wakes him up, and says, reluctantly, he's kind of like, well, you can stay here if you want, but, if anything comes up missing, you'll have the sheriff to deal with, because he knew who he was and whatnot. So he kind of moves in with the guy. The girl starts to come around more. Of course, the dad eventually shows up, and, the old man that took him in deals with it. And then it's just kind of their story of them growing up together. And, like I said, her father offers him money to stay away, and he turns it down. And that's just kind of flash forward, flash back of them trying to rekindle and then showing like what they had that they lost. At one point, it goes into a flashback where they're sharing destiny stories, and the old man that took in the boy is telling about how when he was in the war, he had... What? I'm trying to remember what he said. He was on a boat that got hit by a rocket, and he got knocked into the water, and he was in the water for... I forget how long he said, but as he was sitting there, looking at all the carnage around him, he started to sing a song, and for some reason it made him feel calm that everything was going to be okay. And then when he got back home and saw his wife again, she had told him that she had had a dream that he was singing to her, and it was around like the exact same time that he was in the water, so it was like a fate, destiny type of thing, like they're intertwined or whatever. So then, as the story progresses, the boy goes to jail. There's a reason behind it. It was an accidental thing. But it ties back into issues with his family. So, then we cut back forward to the older versions, and they start to rekindle their love affair, or, their love, I guess you could say. And they just basically spend the next day or two just reliving their youth, like all the stuff you saw them do earlier, they redo as adults. And it's almost like the movie's trying to get the audience's approval for her to cheat on her husband, because she is still married, but, and they're not estranged or anything, they still live together, they've been trying to make it work, even though there's issues. The issues are explained, but, it's like the movie's like saying, should she do it, should she not do it? It's just kind of weird in that sense. Then she ends up going back home after everything's done. He's like, we can't continue to do this, you have a family at home, and I know the way you are, you don't want to give it up that easily, you love your son, blah, 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 blah. Which, realistically, what mother's going to leave their children for a guy? When, even if your relationship at home is bad, there's always a love for your children that you can't just walk away from. At least, majority of the time you can't. Some people in this world, But realistically, most women wouldn't. So she goes back home, and then up until this point in the film, I really didn't know where the ending was going to go. Were they just going to walk away from each other? Were they going to get back together? And then an incident happens, which I'm not going to say what it is, because it would spoil it. And, as soon as it happens, and it's, maybe the last 10 minutes of the movie, as soon as it happens, I'm like, okay, I know how it's going to end. I know what his destiny is finally revealed at this point. Things come to a head between him and his father and the family and whatnot, which leads into how his destiny ends up working out. So it wasn't a big reveal or any a gaspy moment oh no, did that really happen? It's like as soon as the first incident happened, it's like how the events of the next situation are going to play out because they're going to tie together because of the whole destiny angle. So basically right around the 10-minute left of the movie mark, I called exactly what was going to happen. Although I will give them credit that they did a couple bait and switches on how it was going to happen. You start to see something going on, you're like, oh, here it comes. And no, that's not it. So then something else happens, oh, here it comes. Nope, that's not it. Then something else happens, and then it does a slow motion thing where you think, okay, this is actually it this time. Nope, that's not it. Okay, so then does it again. Another fake out. Then it cuts back to her for a while, dealing with the situation at home, and then, then it's finally revealed to her what had happened, and then the other issue that she was involved in suddenly resolves, and you're like, did it have anything to do with the other thing? And then it cuts to, I think it said a year later, and it does this really point blank oddball It's like they put it in just to have it be there. It really didn't need to be there. They could have just left it unsaid. But, then she's talking to her son on the phone, and he reveals some information to her, and it's like a big shock to her, like, oh no, like, oh really? And it's like, it was obvious the whole time. You didn't need to say it. We knew. You could have just left it at that. Again, try not to spoil too much of it here, but if you're familiar with chick flicks, you probably already figured out what happened without me saying much more than what I've said. So yeah, that's basically The Best of Me. The title comes from, at one point she was reading a letter from him where he said something along the lines of blah, 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 and you've always been the best of me, or you've always brought out the best of me, or something like that. So that's how the title ties in. They bring out the best in each other, basically. So that's it for The Best of Me. As far as a star rating on this one, I liked it up till the last 10 minutes. I was enjoying it, even though it's a chick flick, it was a decent little love story. It's, again, stuff that's been done before, but it wasn't bad. But like I said, the last 10 minutes, all of a sudden everything becomes really predictable, and it's just like out of the blue, out of nowhere, like, okay, we're going to shoehorn this ending in at the last minute because we have no idea how we're going to end this film. But, it does tie back into what the whole movie's been about as far as destiny, so, yeah, I'm not going to dock it too much for that. So as far as a star rating, I'm going to say, on the basis of it being a chick flick and not something I would normally, not the genre that's normally targeted towards me, I was going to give it a 4, but I'm going to dock it a bit just because of that last 10-minute predictability thing, and we're going to explain everything to you now, even though you realistically should have already got it, and we're not going to just let it ride on the symbolism that we're showing you. We're going to explain it all to you step by step just so you know what happened. And so it docks a little bit for that. So overall, I'm going to give it a 3.5. Yeah, 3.5 sounds good. Yeah, not much more else to say about it other than that. I gotta head home now because I'm hungry and I want some dinner, and I gotta stop into work and talk to my boss for a minute. But other than that, that's it for this episode. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next episode of Movie Reviews.